Hello and welcome to the mill. I am your host, Dusty Crane, and so you're probably wondering why such the low effort video production this week. And just gonna be quite honest with you, I'm quarantining. Yes, even though all this started in March, I've been very careful. But despite being careful, I still ended up getting the call this week that I need to quarantine. So, in effort to keep my contact with anybody minimal, I'm just gonna do this in my home office. I'm not gonna involve my usual crew, yeah. So anyway, it's not as bad as it sounds. I'm fine. My exposure to this person was like 10 days ago at a doctor's appointment. Nonetheless, I literally interfaced with two people, one for seconds and another one for a more significant amount of time. But I feel fine. Again, it was 10 days ago. I think if it was 10 days ago when I got the call. Now I'm a few days into my quarantine. But I think if it was anything serious, I would have already felt something. So who knows? But I'm sure everything's fine. So no worries. No worries. That's not what this is about. We're here to talk about Stonemeyer stuff. What I did, just like I said, I'm trying to keep this minimal. So I went ahead and did another cut of Jamie's Wednesday Facebook live stream, and just took some of the exciting clips. There's a lot of if you watch, there's a little bit of downtime. There's a little bit of chocolate of the day, and maybe if you're only there for Stonemeyer stuff, you might be like, oh, okay, I don't care about chocolate, but it's fun. Jamie has so much chocolate. I'm a little jealous, in case you couldn't tell. I like a little bit of chocolate from time to time. But we're not here about that either. But I did go ahead and put this video together for you. And without further ado, please, I'm gonna go ahead and pop over to the Wednesday live stream. But take care of yourselves and each other. Show some kindness. Maybe give a little bit more grace, be a little bit more patient than you have to be. I just ended up, I guess a little bit of inside baseball here, or maybe it's not, I don't know, it's just an insight into me, I guess. I watch a show with my wife called The Good Doctor, and, I got work stuff going on here too. And the episode that we watched last night was about the frontline workers, and, Sean, who's the main character of the show, actually works in a hospital, and just, I think the show did a tremendous job of showing what our frontline workers are dealing with and the struggles of people having to have loved ones alone in this COVID pandemic, and really just what our doctors and nurses and first line responders and people that are out there every day, what they're experiencing. And man, it was hard to watch. It was, as someone, I think I feel, I have a lot of empathy for people, for situations, for things, and I like that. But it does make it a little bit difficult sometimes to watch that stuff. And it was a very difficult episode, and so I just, I felt compelled to share a message that said, really take care of yourselves and really take care of each other, because we don't know what other people are going through. And I'll leave you with that, or I'll leave you with Jamie, but let me leave you with that message. So without further ado, Jamie Stegmeyer, ladies and gentlemen, from the Wednesday Facebook live stream. Catch it live if you can. If not, I'm not always doing recaps, but I got one for you this week. So take it away, Jamie. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.
I am playtesting. I'm working on some blind playtesting, or coordinating some blind playtesting for a product that I won't reveal. And I've been doing some individual playtesting for a multiplayer game. I don't do solo designs, but lately I've been doing the initial playtest for a new product just by myself as I get the mechanisms down. And then I'll bring it to the larger Stonemeyer Games group, Joe and Alan and Alex. So working on that. We're also doing final proofreading for a product that will soon go into production. And then, those are the two main things. There's also kind of the Automa team is working on wrapping up a few of the solo modes for a few of our products that are getting ready for a 2021 release. Just a few fun product things in the works. Um, what else is going on? I think those are the main Stonemaier things going on. I am working on a prototype this afternoon. Oh, and I'm kind of doing some marketing prep for a game that we will be releasing in 2021. So I can't say exactly when yet, but I am very excited about a game that we're releasing in 2021. A couple games that we're releasing in 2021, but one of them that I'm focusing kind of on some behind the scenes marketing efforts right now that will become more apparent early next year. Beth says, are there any Wingspan updates for Nintendo Switch or Android? That's a great question, Beth, but I have no idea. That's up to Monster Couch, the developer. I did ask them recently about Switch because I've been getting that question a lot, but they didn't respond. So I don't know. I assume they'll tell everybody when they tell me, or vice versa. Christoph says, do I have any estimate for when the new corrected complete spiral bound scythe rulebooks will be printed? They're currently being printed, yeah, but the printing process takes a few months. Um, my estimate for when they'll be ready, I think they will arrive at fulfillment centers it's either January or February. The hardcover version is ahead of ahead of the spiral bound pace, because we already had that in the works. But the spiral bound version is still being printed. It hasn't shipped out of China yet. Chad says, given the amount of content in Wingspan Oceania, which components were you most excited for when working with Elizabeth? So yeah, I mean, all these ideas come from Elizabeth. We talk about it from time to time, and I help develop the project, but the core components come from her. So the main additions are the whole Nectar system involves new player mats, new dice. I love new dice. I love custom dice, so I'm definitely excited about that. I think I was the most excited about the new player mats, though, or the Oceania player mats. Again, they don't replace the original player mats. They are just an alternative that you can use when using the Nectar system. But yeah, I think it's a really cool thing to have a new fresh player mat to play on and experience that, because that's a core construct of the game, right? You're always using that player mat. So that is one of the things that I really enjoyed in playtesting and in the final version. Vito says, did you ever hear anything back about Libertalia? I've dreamed about a Stonemaier Games production of that game. Thanks, Vito. Yeah, I love the game Libertalia, and it came up. Vito was referring to a few months ago. I mentioned it in one of my top 10 lists, and someone said, I wish I could get this. I wish it could come back in print. Why doesn't Stonemaier Games get the rights to Libertalia? And so it's a cool idea that we could get the rights to an existing out of print title. It's something that we've never done before. So I'm not sure if that really fits into our model, but it is an intriguing prospect to take a game that I really love, that fits into the Stonemaier Games model, update it, and do our own thing with it. So it's a cool idea, yeah. Chad says, what would we need to do as a community that would convince you to grow a mustache for Movember? Chad, that's a great question. That's a fun question. I actually tried doing that almost 10 years ago now. And the results were disturbing and quite unfortunate. So facial hair is not something that I can grow well. It just looks bad and creepy. And so as fun as it would be, it is a really bad idea for me to try that. So I hope you were having fun with a Movember mustache to support testicular cancer awareness for men, but it's not something that is a good idea for me to pursue. I've learned from experience the hard way. Hans says, any news on the deck building idea you had? Something more concrete. It is still developing. It's interesting to have a game in progress, a game in progress with a mechanism that is so widely used, because I keep seeing other designers do cool stuff with it that gives me other ideas. So like even with deck building recently, Dune Imperium and Lost Ruins of Arnak both do really cool things with deck building and worker placement that haven't quite been done before. And Viscounts of the West Kingdom too. So it's kind of inspiring for me to see these other designers do these interesting things with that mechanism, giving me more ideas as my game is still very pliable, very in the brainstorming stage. John says, I'm sure this has been covered before, but will the future expansions of Wingspan require the Oceania player boards? Nope. No, each expansion, just our general expansion model is that no expansion relies on you to have any other expansion. So it would and this is one of the real big reasons that the original Wingspan boards are very important and relevant, because you will use them with all the future expansions. It is possible, slim possibility, that there will be birds in other countries that we think just thematically need to have nectar on them. And so if we do that, then we'll say we would just make it a few birds from those countries, and we would say if you play with these birds, you'll need to use all the nectar stuff that comes in Oceania, or you just ignore these birds as you draw them if you don't have that stuff. But we'll probably only do that with, if at all, with a very few cards from each region. Wom says new games, no universe of Scythe. I think maybe you were saying, do you plan on doing any new games in the universe of Scythe? I am intrigued by that prospect. I have said, and I'm sticking to it, that the Scythe saga, the Scythe story itself inside the tabletop game is done and over and is complete. But I love the world that Jakob created, and I would love to explore other parts of that world or other time periods of that world. So I'm certainly open to that, designing a completely new game in that world. Jeremy says, I'll read the full comment here. This is Jeremy's opinion. The New Zealand brown kiwi was clearly the best choice for the cover bird on the Oceania expansion. I will debate that in a second. Was there any consideration about using a New Zealand bird for the main image or providing an alternative cover for us ridiculously patriotic New Zealanders? Not an alternative cover, no. We didn't consider that. The kiwi did make it onto the box. It's just on the side of the box. But we decided to put a bird whose wings were open because the name of the game is Wingspan, and kiwis don't really they have vestigial wings at best. They have tiny little wings. They don't really use their wings. So there were a few New Zealand birds that we did consider it, and I was definitely biased there because I have visited New Zealand more recently than I visited Australia and paid a lot of attention to the birds while I was there. But we decided to go with a bird that we thought was maybe the best known of that region in general, not just New Zealand. Yeah. So I'm sorry that you didn't get a Kia, for example, on the cover, but yeah. But you do get a couple birds on the side, like the little blue penguin and the kiwi. Zachary says, can I comment on the viticulture expansion? I can just say that we are working on a viticulture expansion. That's what I can say at this point, Zachary. Lise says, will there be a new big box for Wingspan after a couple years after all the expansions? Yeah, so Lise, I've talked a little bit about the big box. What we're doing is we are working on a big box now that is designed to fit all Wingspan content, past and future. The box itself won't come with any gameplay content in it. It'll just be a big box and an organizer, a modular organizer that will be ready to hold all that content. So our goal is just to make one big box that people can trust will hold all Wingspan content that we will make through all of time. So there will be a lot of room for cards in this box, basically. Here, Michael says, I heard a rumor about a Breath of the Wild inspired game in the works. Any more details on that? So Michael, yeah, I have been working on an open world exploration game, cooperative game, for quite some time now. I probably will continue working on it for quite some time. And it is inspired by the sense of open world exploration and discovery in Zelda Breath of the Wild. It is not inspired by Zelda specifically, rather Breath of the Wild specifically in terms of the open world there.